So there you go. All right, everybody. Well, let's get started. There's a handful of things I'd like to cover in today's call, so appreciate the time. The first one is we've got Pete Jones. He was our scheduled presenter for today. He's put together a nice presentation. Obviously, many of you are aware that Pete has a nice national accounts program going, as well as some of our other members. So he's going to talk to you about his national accounts, his success there, and maybe give you some input, advice, and be a great resource for those of you that want to go down the same path or have experienced that as well. We're going to review a little bit of the 2014 event calendar. I want to share with you a new advertising campaign that we're going to put out there, a handful of others that we're working on as well. Any open discussion that we have, anyone want to share any challenges, successes that they have? I was actually, Fu, like to congratulate Sean. Maybe this might be a good one for later, but Fu sent me an email, Sean, that you did a nice job ramping up 8 servers and 46 desktops up on Continuum just recently.
Yes, we got more than that, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, awesome. So, and then we'll get started with Pete. Before we do, we've added a couple of new members just recently. We've added 3 in the last, I believe, in the last 2 months. But 2 of the latest. One is Dominion Voice and Data. Some of you of those are Toshiba dealers. Good chance you've probably worked with Dominion. They like Pete, also have some large national accounts in the healthcare area. They're based in Richmond, Virginia, so they've just joined us, as well as a 43-employee Avaya dealer in Riverdale, New Jersey, called Safari Telecom. They're up in northern New Jersey, just outside of. Obviously, you can almost look down on top of Manhattan from the hills there in New Jersey. So they've just joined us as well. So a couple of new tag members. Dominion is going to be in Discovery. Safari is going to be in the Apollo group. So with that, I'm going to move over to Pete's presentation, let him get started. If you have any questions, obviously you can ask Pete during the presentation, or if you'd like to wait till the end. So Pete, would you like, I'll give you control, Pete, so you have that.
Oh, okay. Got it. Now, can everybody see it, or do I have to do slideshow?
I'm going to do share control, so you'll have control. So I'm sharing control with you. I'll blow it up so everyone can see it in slideshow format.
All right.
So you should have control.
There we go. All right. The Nova National Accounts Program. Just everybody see it okay, or? So basically, my history. I've been doing this business since the 80s, and how we kind of got started in national accounts way back when. Toshiba, I think, was the one that first came up with a pretty good national account program in the mid-'80s, which we adopted, and pretty much all the Toshiba dealers adopted. We've kind of rolled much beyond that now, but that's kind of how we started. What their big key thing for national accounts was they had fixed pricing. You sign one contract, and you get decent pricing no matter where you put it out, with a fixed installation fee. And kind of what they did was they got all of the Toshiba dealers had to sign a contract saying that they would install for X amount. Why their system works so well is they gave the installing dealer made almost more than the originating dealer. So these were good installs where you can get, well over $100 a location to install, train, and whatever. So that's how we started. And over the years, we've had a bunch of really large national accounts back in my previous company, which was ESI Communications. And when I sold that and kind of moved on to Nova, we just started from scratch and kind of redid our national accounts. Some of it was Toshiba, but most of it's direct. So what I figured I'd do was just kind of go through some of our customers here. So how do I work this? Do I hit page down, Brian, or?
Yeah, just like you normally would, or click with your mouse. You should be able to go through it. There you go.
There it is. Okay, one of our customers is a grocery store chain in Milwaukee called Roundy's, and Roundy's has all the ones on the right: Rainbow, Pick and Feed, Save, Tops, Mariano's, and Metro Market. It's been a great account for us. I think that was the first one that we started when I started Nova from scratch in 2002. But basically what we get with them is a $12,000 to $15,000 phone system, and then a $16,000 to $18,000 Spectrum. What their big buying decision was they figured with the SpectraLink, if the managers have a phone that is portable, that they would out in the stores making sure all dials are neat and people are doing what they're supposed to be doing instead of sitting in the office. And we did some trials with them with the SpectraLink, and that proved out the stores with the wireless. And I think we do like 8-9 wireless per store. Were much more well run when they did the audits and much more profitable. But they did a good account. They do 9 to 15 installs per year, like they're 30 to 35 grand. Been a great account. Most of them are in Wisconsin, a few of them over here, and they're just busting into the Chicago market. I think we've got 5 or 6 installed there, and they just bought another chain of 11, which we might have to change all those out, I think, in the next month or two. Another one we found was Liberty Diversified, which they've got 11 locations. We just installed their first 2, but they're going to do 2 a year till all 11 are done. We just ran into those guys. We just sold them last year, so we installed I think it was a 200 phone Zoltus and a 150 phone Zoltus in their first 2 locations. Now they're in the process of buying 2 more for this year. Dominion, we came across this one in the last 90 days or so. They've got 196 locations, all of them with analog phones. They're kind of basically what they are is they own 196 apartment buildings, but they're managed where they have actual people in there. So what their grant plan is to get all 196 locations all set up with 2 to 10 IP phones per location, and put a couple IP edges in a data center where they can all just look at them. Then we got a bunch of Granite City. They've got 38 locations. We've already installed 25 of them. Those are 20 to 25,000 each store. Counting the phone system and the cabling, the phone system is a small part of it. That's like $3 grand, $4 grand, but structured cabling gets it up to 20 to 25,000 per store. Another customer that we picked up, I think, General Parts. What they do is food service equipment. They're kind of like same business we are, but they do refrigeration and food service equipment and support. But they've got 17 locations, and they're all pretty nice size locations, all like 20 to 30 phones, except for the corporate, which is like 60, 70, which we have. And right now they have 17 Toshibas that we sold, and now we're going to go all the way back through the network, and we're going to replace all those with Zoltus. Then here's just a variety of the other ones. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if you hang on to them, which with this company we're trying to, national accounts kind of come and go, but if you hang on to them, you get second generation. It goes quicker than you think.
I just ate at one of those Granite Cities just a month or so ago. There's one in Troy, Michigan. So.
Yeah,
if you need help.
Will do. And here's some other ones. We got Our Steel, which they've got 4 locations, but they're all pretty big. Lakeville Motor Express, that's a good one too. That's like a 3-year-old account. They're a trucking company that's always claiming poverty. Then we show up one day and they just bought 140 brand new Freightliners. But they've been pretty good. They got 30 locations. Most of them are small, but they've got up here in Wisconsin, they've got 4 really large locations, depots and whatnot that we've done. Foley Mansfield, a law firm, Room and Board. I don't know if you guys have those there, but they're a furniture place. We're managing those, speaking of ones that we lost. So we installed them all with Toshibas, and those are all being changed out too, but with Cisco, not us. But we're still managing them. Same with J&K Services. They've got, I think, 120 locations that we installed. And we're still servicing them as they're replacing those with Cisco as well. But then the granddaddy of them, which we got these guys in 2005, Firestone, which we kind of went at, and you can see in the middle here, Tires Plus, that's kind of how we got to know them. We sold a couple stores, and it finally just grew. And actually, I think on the next slide I have the evolution of this account. But this is by far our biggest one. They got 2,300 locations around the country here. So basically, we started with one local phone system, and then they bought a bunch of them locally. The local guy kind of vouched for us that we're pretty good. They were an Intertel national account in 2005, and we made it to the final two for bake-off. And what they did was, point blank, at an inconvenient time, they gave both vendors 5 locations with literally, I think, 4 days to get them installed. And we just killed them on the bake-off. So with the install procedures, web, we took pictures of the installs, and just little things like that. But landed us a really big account. So with Firestone, in the last 7 years, we've been through all 2,300 stores. We installed 2,300. I think they're like 8 or 9 phone systems with paging. They're like little $5,000 systems, but 250 to 450 a year. So, per business day, we're usually doing a couple Firestones a day. Then, while we're doing all these phone systems here, we're just looking around because we're seeing what's going on, and we see all these. They call them reimages, where they have a store and they need to update the look, and while they're updating the look, they have to update their infrastructure. They call it a reimage. So we saw these reimages going, and we golfed with the guy that was doing the reimages, and those are like $5,000 to $7,000 a store. So we kept bugging, trying to get in there, and they really liked the guy, didn't let us bid. So we finally, they came up with a project. Now, when you're talking about these big companies, what's really interesting about them, in my perspective, is they have meetings, and what comes out of a 1 hour long meeting can mean huge projects, like not related to me, but somebody else. We've got this website that we work with. BlackBerry was having a meeting. They're wondering why the Verizon chain isn't selling the BlackBerries they should. Somebody brings up, well, they must not be displayed purposely. So they literally hired somebody to go to, I think it's 12,000 Verizon stores and take a picture in a month. But that's a project. So on these big companies, they have these meetings, and stuff like this comes up. So the meeting that we got was, we can get rid of the fax line now because we got it over the network. So they've got 2,300 fax lines around the country, which will save them, I think, $1 million over 2 years. So we just really low bid that one after not being considered for a couple three of them in the past. Low bid them, showed our competency. They liked us. We made a little bit of money, but it was more work than it was work. But they showed our competency. So the next one, satisfied with the first one, they hired us for site surveys. What they're doing with the site surveys, they decided they're doing at the time, I don't know if it's still true, but they're doing the largest T1 rollout ever. It's 2,300 T1 rollouts, and they're in the negotiations with all the carriers to do it. So during the negotiations, they thought it would be convenient and business-like to have a nice site survey of all the stores. So we got that project where we had to go visit all 2,300 stores, and we developed a website where all the contractors log in, put in the store number, and they answer, I think, 25 questions, such as how tall are the ceilings, are there, from the D-mark to the phone system, are there any cement walls they have to drill through, do you have to bring a hammer drill, literally the question. So we did that survey website, and the contractors put it in, and we took 6 pictures, and then we published it on another website, and they just loved us for that, which I got some examples of how we did that project. Then we got the T1 project to go do all 2,300 T1 cutovers. It was a negotiated but a no bid contract, which is kind of where you want to be and kind of where you can get with these big companies. Once they get a comfort level with somebody, these are really kind of hard accounts to get, but once you get a comfort level, they're somewhat hard accounts to lose. So when you're looking at it from their perspective, when they're doing the T1 cutovers, where we have all the Toshiba systems anyway, the manager's looking how much are we going to stay out of trouble, and we were the safest choice. So we got that one, and we're I think Brightline Joint Tag, we're starting that one, but we're already past 1,700 of the 2,300 will be done end of February. So we use quite a bit of tools here, which I'll just kind of skip to it here. Have you guys ever done custom service orders, or you guys ever investigated doing those? Pretty effective for us. Like this one is kind of hard to see, but this is custom service order. Obviously, the work requested is kind of our job pack, and this is like for the site surveys. And what you see down below there is all their circuits. And with this custom service order, which we have there's a bunch of people that do it, but we got a guy that's I think down in South Carolina does them for us. This cost something like $250 one time, but it pulls the circuits right out of TigerPaw from the database that we imported from the customer. Here's the lines we think they are. And we just print these service orders with the custom ones. Here's all the phone numbers. The contractor puts correct yes or no. If not correct, what's the real phone number? So real helpful where you didn't have to send out a separate job pack or mess with spreadsheets or any of that. This is just the plain old, that a lot of you guys use this, but several of our big accounts really love the customer web portal, where they can get on there, look at the inventory of their systems. The people with that Dominion, which has 196 locations, thinks it's great. They're giving us all their circuits and their locations, all their IP addresses. We're loading it all in TigerPaw, and they're using our TigerPaw kind of as their data reservoir for all the lines they have. Likewise, they can look up their invoices and print them. We don't print invoices except for, I think all of our national accounts except for one just gets on the website and batch prints their own invoices, so we don't mail them, email them, or anything. They just grab them off the website. But that's just the standard TigerPaw portal. To get kind of in the bake-off for this is what we did for that site survey there. On the right is what that survey, like I was talking about, the 20-some questions, yes, no. Contractors get in there, and we hired somebody, I think, to build this website that spits out a PDF of all their answers, so we don't have to double enter anything. We take that along with the pictures, and we have another website that all the Verizons are the people that are in the T1s, so they use this website extensively when they're hiring their subcontractors. Verizon gets on there, and subcontractors get on there, and here's kind of what it looks with the pictures. So they can get on there and look at a picture. There's actually 6 pictures per store, plus a drawing of feet and all that stuff in the DMARC and the survey. So they can get in there and see kind of exactly what they're getting into. Is it a bee's nest? Do I have to go through a wall? And what's it look like? So, but the end user customer just loves that, and that's kind of why we're sitting in a pole position. And these are pretty easy to hire people to do. Another really useful tool is MapPoint, where you can take a spreadsheet of anything. This one happens to be Toshiba dealers in Florida. You import it, and it puts it right on a map with all the data. Like if you're doing an install down in St. Pete, you can kind of click and see all the dealers with the phone numbers. Really simple to import, and as we're finding contractors across the way, we use it extensively. Likewise, on the right, you can't really see it very well, but that's Fort Worth, Texas. And those are all the installs that we have to do on October 28th. And it just pops them up there, and you can, as you're talking to the contractors, you can just say, oh, it's north of this city as you're looking at it. But well worth the license. I think it's a somewhat spendy license in the $500 range, but it really works well. Another thing that we do on these big projects is we're huge with tasks. So basically what happens is on these ones where we're doing the T1 project, we're doing on average a 20 T1 cutovers a day, 4 days a week for several months. And we're doing it all with basically 2 to 3 people. But we keep it pretty well organized with the tasks. So what we do is we get the spreadsheet, and we do the start date is going to be the cutover date, and we've over on the right here, when we start each one, we've got these, what are they, 5 things to do. We got to schedule a contractor, we got to confirm a contractor, we have to create a job pack, we have to ship the event to package, and we got to ship the music on hold box because we're taking all those out. But every single install has to get those done. But what's nice about this is you have 3 to 4 people working on these. Sometimes there are 3 to 4 people work on these. Some people are working. As soon as they get done, they mark the task completed, and it shows up just like that. So you can have multiple people working on the same type of thing. Let's go find contractors. And when they're all checked, they're completed, and boy, I'll tell you what, it really, really works well. It kind of came up when we started this project. I walked back and I saw a couple people. Something else we have to do. Something as the name is making key strips. But we had 2 people making key strips because they're kind of behind it, and they're both working off a spreadsheet, the same spreadsheet, and trying to update all the time. So we kind of came up with these tasks. So somebody does a key strip for this job, they mark it complete, and everybody knows it's done. So the previous slide, this on the big project, that's how you find the contractor. Then we came up with something that's called, that we call game day, which these are the 20 that we're going to do today. So it doesn't look like you guys can see this very well, but the circled things, these are tasks. Every weekend they get imported for the 80 or so installs that we're doing for the week. We have 3 tasks on every job. First one is tech is on site. Second one is the service order is completed. Third one is the service order is invoiced. So literally, when they walk on TigerPod, I think it shows 50 at a time. So when they start in the morning, they've got 2 pages, one is 50, one is 30, showing all the uncompleted, and then they've got it marked to just show incomplete tasks. And as the day goes on, that just shrinks down to, by noon, there's probably 30 left. By 1 o'clock, there might be 3 left. But it's great to see, and anybody can see it too. The tech is on site, they click it, everybody can see it under a task. It really works out slick. That's it.
Nice job, Pete.
Oh, thank you.
What questions for Pete?
I'd certainly like to get a copy of this. A lot of it is very interesting to me. Some of the things you're doing even with TigerPaw and such.
I figured this is Steve, I presume.
Yeah.
I figured there are a lot of little spurs we could go down. I'd be happy to show you. The TigerPaw stuff I think we're really good at. I'd be happy to show any of you guys that stuff because it's, the T1 project, like when you guys first time in the group, that was my most nerve-wracking thing. That's the easiest thing we do in the company just because we figured out some really good processes and nobody's heartbeat gets above normal and it really works well. And we've done over 1,700 cutovers and we missed 1. And Verizon's already missed well over 350 with no shows or disorganization or whatever. So we got good people too. But I'd be happy to do it on any of that stuff.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, we do that. I bet you 6 times a year people come to watch and see what we do at the TigerPaw. So.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to me.
Pete, real nice job. Cheryl and I were just commenting on the details and stuff you put behind the scenes. You've really got some great systems in place. I'm real impressed to see what you've done.
Well, thanks. Just my friend, he has to say that.
Yeah.
You're worth it.
Other comments or questions of Pete?
Yeah, Pete, how how do you develop the relationships with your outside contractors?
You know, there's a couple ways. You know, when we first started out, it was just Toshiba deals, so we were just doing Toshiba. Now we're doing like anything. I really like this rollouts business. Like just a T1 cutover, you know, so a little bit of telephony, but we're in the final two of, they just bought 2,300 servers. We're in the final two of that one, where we got to go and install 2,300 servers. So we do dealers that we've done. I think we're sending out over 800 unique 1099s this year. But we also, we ran across this one company called Field Nations. And what that is, are you guys familiar with that? Or?
Yeah, we're pretty familiar here at TAG with them, because we've explored partnerships with national companies like that. Yep, exactly.
Field Nations works pretty good with a couple of warnings. So it's kind of like Angie's List for contractors. So what happens is if we have a project like on this, we use them when we can't find people, we use them for this. And if we do, you basically put the scope of the project and the area that it's doing, and the contractors bid on it, plus they have a rating. And it's just like an Angie's List rating, like this guy is great or this guy is not so great. And basically what we have to do is we have to load our Field Nations account. Like if it's a $5,000 job, we have to put $5,000 in there. And why the contractors like it is that $5,000 goes right into their account the Friday after they do the work. It's already prepaid in advance, and they know they're going to get the money. That's their one big rub. It's how they're going to get paid. But that works pretty well. We'll get upwards of 30, 40 people bidding on a job. And if you are using Field Nations, though, we've had better luck with, don't look so much at the company's ratings, just like any of our companies. This tech is really awesome, and tech number 4 maybe not be so much. But if you get the individual guy, that's like a individual guy that used to work for somebody that gets a good rating, you can pretty much count on those.
Other questions for Pete?
Well, how do you knock on the door of a national account?
Pretty much the same way as you do any account. You just keep going after them, a lot of times they're maybe a little bit easier once you say that's what you do, is we do national rollouts, national accounts, because these are the people that are in charge of it. It's a lot easier, we found, to get appointments with these people. Now, instead of national accounts and, hey, do you want to buy national phone systems? We do national rollouts. Do you have any national projects that you need to manage? So these departments are all cutting back people, and once you knock the door and get in there, your job is to show them how you're going to relieve some of the work that they would normally have to do. But it's kind of like the same thing as going after any big account. You just keep after it, use all the connections you have.
Now, Pete,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I know you've got Doug and a couple of salespeople with Doug. Is there anyone who has had the most recent success in the company with national accounts?
Well, we got a guy named Brad who we keep behind the scenes. That's all he does is national account.
Okay.
He runs the Firestone account, and then Pat does the Roundy. Each one of these guys has an account. Brad Fenimore sold one of those, sort of Dominium. So I think pretty much all of our salespeople have at least one, except for one sales guy.
That they all generated themselves.
Exactly.
Nice.
And they're almost easier because you're dealing with, most of the time you're dealing with pretty professional people. And they don't have the fear of saying no, so they don't mind saying yes to an appointment because they know they can say no, where the typical appointment is no more. And you just got to keep in mind that the people you're calling, you just got to keep in front of them, because they're bored, or whoever is having a meeting that all of a sudden something's going to trickle down to them saying, oh my God, get this done. just like Roundy's, which is my first slide. You know, we just had a meeting with, our on-site over in Milwaukee 3 weeks ago, and everything's going great. You know, maybe do 7 stores next year, and then a week later, they bought 11 Dominick stores, and hurry up and get them in. So the key thing is just keep in front of them, so when something trickles down, they have a lifeline to call. That's how we got at least half of them. We're just in front of them when they need something.
Nice. Other comments or questions? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and send this PowerPoint out to everyone. Excellent job, Pete. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks. And
go ahead.
Yeah, if anybody needs any of the Tiger Paw stuff, just ping me. Be happy to do it.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, a couple other things I wanted to hit on before we leave for today. As you know, we let's see, we keep adding to the marketing program. I don't know, we've added a handful here and there over time. I'm going to show you a campaign that we've just put on there. But for example, if you haven't seen it already, we've added a couple. We've added a new MSP one. This is actually probably one of my favorite, actually, in terms of MSP. I don't know if anyone's used this one yet, but Friends Don't Let Friends Try to Solve Their Own Computer Problems. Managed IT Services solves problems automatically, 24/7 network monitoring, dedicated support, and all that good stuff. So, we're going to start communicating more of the campaigns that we've added. So make sure that you're on there, utilizing them. Remember, again, you've got, when we initially started producing these in our company, my background is in sales and marketing, and I have friends that own marketing companies here in San Diego, and I would price these up, and they would charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per piece to develop these. So we're real proud of what we've done here, and again, we want everybody to access these as much as possible. So please utilize them. Again, if you haven't, probably a little late, or if you still want to send this one out, a lot of our members have sent this one out. If you're paying local or long distance bills, you're on Santa's naughty list. Don't forget we have holiday ones in there and things of that nature. We just built a surveillance campaign. We worked with Mike Meldrum, the owner of Complete in Detroit, as well as Jason Smith at Midland. And we're going to be posting this campaign momentarily because I know many of you are obviously have branched into surveillance and or see that as an opportunity to get into as well. We are at VoiceSmart. So, for example, visitor management system, high-tech peephole that keeps creeps outside. Your organization, keep your organization safe, give us a call. So that's one. Smile, you're on camera. The best liability insurance in the world. Never face another liability dispute again, ever. We've got this one. Simply telling people that you're installing security cameras decreases theft. Department of Common Sense. Everyone is more honest when they know they're on camera. Security matters. Call us for more. And then lastly, know what's coming. Keep your school, organization, and family safe with IT cameras. Any thoughts, comments? You like those, CG? I know you do surveillance. Your thoughts on these?
Yeah, those are good. They kind of hit the high points. They're kind of quick and easy without getting into a lot of detail.
Yeah, and that's go ahead.
It triggers people to respond.
Yep, and that's again, the point of obviously, please use these campaigns because again, as you all know, some of you that either have branched into IT, voice, surveillance, AV, whatever the case may be, you'll even structured cabling, for example, I'll use Sean as an example. I'm assuming, Sean, some of your structured cabling customers that you've had for a period of time don't even know you have cell phone systems, right? Do you ever have that issue?
Yep.
Yeah, and so, it's that constant reminder to utilize, these campaigns to reinforce all the things that you do because, again, you can't assume anything in life, and the one thing we do know is that one thing about people is that they forget fast. And that's why, you know, that's one of the reasons why we got to keep putting our brand in there and keep educating our customers on everything that we do. So we're going to get these off to Atomic 8-Ball. We're going to get this campaign up. We're in the process of creating an automotive campaign, a hotel-motel campaign, and a few others. So we're going to be getting those up, as well as some ad hoc ones that we've been working on. So those are on the way as well. Let's see.
I don't know what you did there. I don't know why.
So
You can open it.
I think we're getting back